Hello and good day. So, financial nightmares. Today I'm going to talk about a few financial nightmares and that I hope to help you guys avoid and tend to be the kind of nightmares that people get into by being financially or being by following the normal financial pattern. So, to start with, we'll talk about when your debt and the payments to your debt exceed your income. This usually happens for several reasons, the same reasons you would go into debt, but oftentimes it means you didn't have the preparation and insurance. And what I mean by insurance is mostly self-insurance, but also the potential that you had, say, a medical issue or a car crash or a flood or something that resulted in wiping out any emergency security you had and causing you to go in heftily in debt, which then the payments to suddenly became more than you could earn at the moment in time. So that is a financial nightmare of no matter how hard you're working at the moment, you cannot break out until you are shackled by the debt. Especially if you wait so long that you end up paying minimum payments, which means if you don't do something to get rid of them, you could very well be stuck with debt for the rest of your life. Because minimum payments means you're pretty much at best paying the interest and not anything to the principal. Depending on the type of loan, but usually what I'm talking about is credit card loan or car loan and that kind of thing, of where you're going to keep going into and getting more, and the amount you can pay doesn't as long as you're willing, I should say, is they're perfectly willing to charge you more for not paying them for the money you owe them. So that is a financial nightmare of being so heftily in debt, being so blinded for so long, or because this is a several step process. You don't instantly just poof, you're in debt so far beyond anything you could possibly handle in 99 or more percent of the situation. Sometimes, perhaps, if you your insurance or of one type or another just didn't pan out, or I can imagine a disaster like that occurring to somebody and it being tens if hundreds of thousands that suddenly bam, not most people can't handle that, and even if they could, it would be a crippling result. But most people don't go through something like that. And yet most people are living paycheck to paycheck, being in debt, and leading into financial nightmares. And personal finance is personal. The various effects and various numbers and various qualities and location and aspects of the financial world to you changes. The financial life and health you have is different. The opportunities and danger different, unique. But the majority of people still go into debt, go into live paycheck to paycheck, and have very little for emergencies, let alone retirement of whatever level they desire to actually be able to live. So what I'm getting at is by not figuring out when you're going to change your lifestyle, when the pain of being the same is more than the pain of change, when you've decided that I will not continue to get worse, I will fix this situation, then you're going to, generally speaking, get worse and worse, following the same patterns, following the same plan. You're going to get similar results until you change that plan. And so people tend to continue to get more and more debt, and then lower the payments, increase the debt, and their income increased. All right, so increase the amount of debt we have. Let's go out and buy a new car. Let's not. The whole idea that that debt is normal and not something to be ashamed of is something that makes the banks very rich, and is a bizarre concept that wasn't here however many a few decades back. It used to be a shameful thing that you were indebted to somebody, that you were effectively a slave, that willingly selling your work and your, risk and potential for the sake of you want a car, you want a house before that you can't afford. It's kind of a weird, you want to look like the Joneses, you want to look better, or you want to have something because the salesman is so good at selling you that it is better in some way, that, or maybe it is so much better that you want it, but you can't actually afford it, and you lead into becoming more and more indebted, until the point that the longer you wait, the harder it is to get out. And then there are other things such as making sure, and then that's not even including the fact that you could be fired. You could have an emergency, a medical emergency, a car flood, some robbery, some kind of issue where if you're not properly insured, or even if you are, you might still need enough personal insurance, self-insurance, to handle the situation, deal with the deductibles, deal with the higher cost of the insurance payments now, and that kind of thing. In addition, bad things will happen. It will rain. And if you aren't prepared for that, then you're going to take the full brunt of it when it comes. And the longer you wait to improve, the more you are following the same plan that is leading you to bad, the worse it's going to get. Luckily, the longer once you switch that plan and improve yourself, the longer you follow that plan, the better you tend to get, the more secure you become. The more security, the more potential and opportunities you can take advantage of, and the more risk that, or the troublesome times that occur, the less they have a sway over you. So hopefully this helps you guys to understand the financial nightmare that you are trying to avoid by being financially irresponsible, and the different levels. It gets worse and worse and worse and worse, but it doesn't get better unless you change that plan to something that it actually works, actually succeeds. At which point, then you will continue to improve and stay out of debt for the most part, if not completely, and certainly not enough to drown yourself with the payments that a lot of people, unfortunately living paycheck to paycheck, do and almost have no chance to avoid. And as a side note, to somebody who already is at that point where their income and their level of debt payments are the same, there's a few points of advice. One, if it's something like a medical emergency or something, then you may very well just need the permission to get through it, to stay above the water, don't drown, until you get that problem solved. If it's something just like general credit card debt and stuff, and you just need to get the edge on it, then you may just need to, increase your income in some way, like actually getting a part-time job in addition to a full-time job, just enough to be able to get a rolling snowball effect on the debt and actually manage to get ahead and pay off that principal, and therefore eventually climb your way out of the debt. And hopefully this helped you guys, and if you have any questions, comments, feel free to leave them down below. And if you would like to hear more content like this, feel free to subscribe, and have a good day.